Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Raz Show. I'm Jack Wilson, and we're coming to you this weekend from the high desert of New Mexico. It's a beautiful weekend, and I wanted to do this show today. It's kind of an intro to a show that I did months ago about Route 66, and I'm doing it alone because Carol is not in. Her chair is empty. There you go. She is out shopping, doing some things. She's taking a trip out of the country for a couple of weeks, and we'll be able to talk to her when she gets back, or maybe while she's there. And it will be some great information, hopefully. But what I want to talk about is the other day I had to drive in on Central Avenue, and it got my ire up again of what's going on Central Avenue and other things in Albuquerque. And you can read my blogs on dailyraz.com and see some of the details on that. But I wanted to, a couple of months ago, I did a podcast on Central Avenue and Route 66 and the disaster it is over there. And I want to rerun it because I took a bus. I'd never been on a bus over on Central Avenue, and that is one of the biggest problems on Central Avenue are the buses and the people that ride them, on and on and on. But I did ride a bus a few months ago, and I did a podcast on that and kind of gave you some information on it. It's not great, but it was kind of detailed. I spent more time in detail on my blog on dailyraz.com, and you can go there and look at that and comment on it. But the thing is that I wanted to rerun that. We've got an election coming up in Albuquerque in November for a mayor, and hopefully, and look, I'm not a Republican, and I guess I'm a Democrat, but sometimes not. I'm really a pretty middle-of-the-road person. But what's happening is a real crime that is going on Central Avenue, and someone needs to do something about it. And I don't think people, they just have a disinterest, it seems, and they're not interested in what's actually happening over there. My wife and I, we try to shop those merchants. They are really suffering. They put their lives and their money into those businesses, and they need support. But boy, it's pretty hard when you have these derelicts right outside your door. It's tough for people to go over and shop. Something needs to be done on that. So anyway, we're running up to that. I'm going to run the podcast behind this, and then I'll come back. And before I do that, then I'm getting a lot of emails, people wondering, where have you been? What are you doing? Are you going to do podcasting? Yes, and yes, and yes, I'm going to do podcasting. I've been really busy, but my time is going to be freed up in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be back to doing podcasting and doing my websites and blogging pretty much full time. There's a lot of information, but one of the reasons that I kind of stopped doing it was because of the climate, the political climate of what's going on in the country. There's just a lot of angst, and I don't want to do negative podcasting. I want to do podcasting that is fun and entertaining. Now, I will do some political podcasting, but because I do have opinions, and they are strictly my opinions. I'm not out to try to change anyone's mind, because at this point in the game, I don't think you are going to change anyone's mind. But maybe it will give some folks pause for thought and look at some things that are happening. I've been around a while, so I can kind of relate those experiences. But one of the things we want to do in the podcast that we're going to be doing and coming up is obviously having some guests on from different backgrounds, including mine. I'm going to have some things on about business. We're going to have some shows about travel, some of the experiences that we've had, places we've been, the foods, a lot of things that are just going to be interesting and not all negative. And also, I'd like to do things on business. I've got some business background experiences, and I want to share those experiences and maybe help people that want to take off on their own and do some business on their own. But I'm going to break it off here and move into the podcast that I did a few months ago. I don't remember too much about it. I tried to be a little detailed on it, but you'll have to be the judge. But my advice is go get on a bus and go over there. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. I rode it down Central and back, and it was an experience. But the last experience I had was a few days ago when I came back from I had to do some business downtown, and I accidentally came back on Central. I hate driving Central. I hate it. And because of that, that's why I'm doing this. So it's kind of getting me more involved back into doing podcasting. And I hope you get some information out of it. I'll be back after it, and enjoy it. Thanks. Hi. Hey, it's a Daily Raz Show. I'm Jack Wilson, alone in the studio today. Jan, my producer in TD, is off today, and, well, hey, it's Sunday morning. I wanted to come in and kind of redo what I talked about on the Route 66, because I had a little adventure Saturday, and I took a bus over on Central Avenue. I haven't been on a bus in 50 years, maybe less, but anyway, a long time. A city bus, I'm talking about. And I'll tell you the excursion. It was an adventure. I woke up Saturday morning. I was determined to do this because I had these rose-colored glasses, I guess, about being able to do something with Route 66 and fix it. And I'm convinced now that it can't be fixed. There's really not much that can be done. I think everyone has given up on it. But just to tell you what happened, I'm not going to waste time with pictures or anything. This is not going to be a long event to tell you about this. If you're really interested, go over and ride the bus. Excuse me. So I went over to Tramway and Central, where the bus terminates on this side of town. And I waited. There was a bus there, and I waited for the driver. He did come about 10 minutes later, but actually I was standing in the wrong spot. I needed to move around the corner, but he allowed me on the bus. It was the double bus. Now, they have two bus lines that go down Central from Tramway. They have the 777 and the 66. Who would know? Well, it turns out I got on the 777 bus, which is basically an express. Now, these buses are not the ones that we were promised years ago. These are gas buses, I think. They're dirty, they're smelly, but it was a double bus. I got on. I was the only one at that time. We went around, started down Central, and this bus, the 777, only stops at major intersections. So it stops from Tramway, it stops on Wantabo, the other side of Wantabo. Now again, we're in the right lane. Stops on the other side of Wantabo, which would be the west side of Central and Wantabo. We drove on to Eubank and stopped on the other side of Eubank, which would be the west side, Central, and then proceeded down Central. Again, we're in the right lane, just like a normal bus, and crossed Wyoming. Now, that's where everything became dark. And what I mean dark is it was people living in tents and sleeping on the sidewalks and well, just about anything you can imagine. Whether you want to call them transients, derelicts, homeless, I don't care. I mean, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. From Wyoming all the way to where I ended my ride, which was in Nob Hill, but we went through Louisiana, San Mateo, and all the way to Nob Hill. I got off at the Central and Bryn Mawr stop. Now, when we crossed San Mateo, I think it was, that's where the bus began moving over into the center lane for these kiosk bus stops they have. So instead of exiting and entering on the right side, now you got to go over to the left side because that's where the bus rides on the left side. It began riding on the left side going down Central to where I got off at Bryn Mawr. I mean, I couldn't take it anymore. I just got off. Now look, it's 11 o'clock on Saturday. That place should be really rocking, I would think. You know, Nob Hill, those businesses down there, but it wasn't. I got off at the Bryn Mawr, and there was nobody around. A few people walking on the streets. I kind of looked around for a place to get a cup of coffee or something. I didn't see anything that I wanted to go into, and I really didn't feel like walking down the street too much more, so I kind of turned around and just waited on the next bus to come back, which was about 20 minutes. Okay, and it was easy to understand. They only have on Central going east and west, I think 777, which is the express bus, and 666, which is the bus that rides in the right lane, not the speed lane, and it stops at every stop. It's a regular bus. So I waited on the 777 bus going back to Tramway and Central to my car. And as I was standing there, I'm kind of asking myself, you know, why do we have this bus in the middle? And I'll explain some other things as I go along, but I'm thinking, why do we have this bus driving down the middle of Central? They screwed up Central Avenue to put this bus in. And by the way, the kiosks they're getting kind of dirty and dilapidated and what you would expect. And I waited on the bus, waited for the bus. And then when it came, I got on it to head back. But I was thinking this whole time watching it, this bus is speeding down on the left-hand side, but it doesn't go straight. It has to zig and zag and maintain in that one lane that this bus is designed for, but it's not a straight line. And in the interim, I'm wondering what those little white lights are that is in that bus lane. Well, as it turns out, they are the red and green lights for the buses, so the drivers of cars don't mix them up. But when the little white bar is on the top, that's a red light for the bus. When the little bar is straight up and down, that is the green light for the bus. So that's how the drivers know. Now these buses can go and come completely different than cars. They don't pay any attention to the cars. They don't even pay attention to the people on the buses. But, cars turn in front of them. The whole thing is dangerous to me. But as I was writing this, I'm thinking, well, this is pretty silly because it really is what back east years ago we would call express buses. And if anybody's ever ridden those, you have the regular buses in the right lane at the bus stops, and they stop at every stop. And then you have the express buses. Now, the express buses do exactly what this thing does over on Central, but they still use those bus stops, but they don't stop at every one. They may stop at every block, and it's an express bus. But they use the same stops as the regular bus, but it stops like one every block. It's an express bus. But they certainly didn't tear up the damn streets, tear up the middle of the highway to put the express bus over there that only runs every 20 minutes. So now you've got cars that can't use those lanes, but every 20 minutes a bus is coming down. It makes absolutely no sense to be doing that. But I just, when I saw that, that reminded me of these express bus lanes back east. Why they did that on Central Avenue, I have no idea. No idea. It makes absolutely no sense. So let me tell you my experience riding the bus. I was easily recognizable as a kind of a newbie bus rider for one reason. I didn't have a backpack. Everybody has a backpack. Everybody. The only people that are riding these buses, look, I understand bus systems are needed. The only people that were riding these buses were transients, homeless, maybe some workers that needed to get from one part of town to the other. But for the most part, these people were stopping at the bus stops that we all know about. And I just didn't see anyone. There were two people. There was a couple, a guy and a gal, and they were like me, really obvious, because they had nice clothes on, and they didn't have a backpack, and they didn't know how to get off of the bus because this was a express bus, and when they pulled the bell to get off, the driver didn't stop. He went to his next stop. They just ignore the people, which is okay. You learn the rules after a while. But it went a block, full city block past where they really wanted to get off, and they got off the bus, and everything was fine. I rode it to the end of the line. I got off, and was glad. Now, I thought about doing it again on, a weekday. I don't see the need and I don't see the purpose. Saturday should be a busy day. I'm pretty confident that Uptown was busy, but I can tell you that Central and Nob Hill, we're not. It's bad. It's been bad for 30 years. It has gotten worse over the last 10 that I can remember. It's not getting any better. What they did was they did a lot of damage to people that had businesses over there. And, they're closing up, they're moving out, they're boarding up. There just isn't any hope. And, I have to tell you, if anybody has a thought of going over there and opening a business, you really need to do what I did. Ride it back and forth a while and look at what to expect. It's bad. There's no need to go over there and lose money. I don't see any hope for it. I've had dinner with people that have all of these ideas, to fix it. Well, you know what? Everybody has the same idea. They're the same exact ideas, but nothing ever happens. But you go and look at Uptown and what they do there. Then you go over to Paseo del Norte, all of the commercial businesses that are being built over there. And guess what you don't see on Paseo? You don't see homeless people. You don't see people with backpacks begging for money, panhandlers. It's not over there. So I don't know why, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that the city has taken Central Avenue and created, for lack of a better word, a corral. They've created a place to corral people, the disenfranchised, the homeless, the travelers, or whatever, and that's where they would prefer those people to be, and to keep them there rather than meandering around other parts of the city. I mean, what other explanation is there? I don't know one. It's never gotten better. People have run over and tried to build businesses, and most have failed. There are a few still standing. The people that I know, for the most part, have quit going over there. We used to go over to try to go to dinner, and that we've almost stopped going over there. We prefer almost to drive to Santa Fe to go out to dinner than attempt Central, and it's a shame. There's some great places over there, or that used to be, and they're struggling. They're really struggling. That's about all I have on it. I wanted to, bring it up to speed that I had these rose-colored glasses. I took them off, and I took the time. I took 3 hours to get on a bus and ride it for a short distance, look around, get the idea, and all you need to do is do that, and you can see what I'm talking about. It's a shame, but I myself I've given up on it. I'm moving on to other things, including tomorrow, the BCS Championship. I probably want to talk about that. The inauguration is coming up tomorrow. A lot to talk about on that. I'm going to have a lot of ideas to share with you and feedback on it. And also some other subjects. I'm going to wrap this one short. Just wanted to get it out there that I did do it, and wasn't a waste of time, but I'm glad I did it. And if you ever get a chance, gather your courage and try it. You might be surprised. Anyway, if you get a chance, maybe subscribe, because then you'll get notifications on when I have more podcasts coming up. And as now I'm getting more into it, probably start doing a few a week. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you again next week, and thanks. All right, we're back. That was the show we did a few months ago. And that was early in some of the podcasting that I did. But wow. Yeah, very interesting. Riding a bus on Central Avenue. If you haven't done it, you got to try it. And I'm going to bring up a real quick point before I forget. All of this that's happening on Central Avenue, where they've corralled all of these people over on Central Avenue. We do go up to Paseo del Norte, sometimes go to the restaurants up there. We never see them there. These derelicts and drug addicts and whatever you want to call them. I don't care. I'm not going to make light of that. they're all on Central Avenue. I'm just trying to find words for it. And I think it's on purpose. I think it's purposeful that they put them over there. Well, that's great, but what about the people that want to shop over there and want to go over there? Something's got to be done. They got to do something. Anyway, that was the podcast. I'm going to ask you to join us on future podcasts when we do some things that are a little more positive. That was not very positive. But hopefully there will be some action done. We can make some changes in the city from the top down. And I would even look at the state government. This has got to be changed. So that's it. And I hope you join us for some future podcasts. And thanks, and come back.